4 years ago, the first MCU movie came out in nearly 2 years. Due to the brutal and unexpected COVID pandemic, that movie was Black Widow. Many argued it was years too late, but it was finally nice to see Natasha have her own movie where she truly gets to shine. Well, and this is no shot at Natasha the character or ScarJo as an actor whatsoever, but she had the show completely stolen from her by her sister and father. We are here to talk about said sister, Yelena, played by the wonderful Florence Pugh, who has become one of my favorite characters in the MCU, and as far as active characters go, as in not dead or taken out of the picture entirely, she might actually be number one. She is certainly one of the better written and performed characters in the franchise. Let's dive into what makes her so interesting, unique, and likable, and how she evolves significantly throughout her appearances. Spoilers for several MCU projects, I'm just going to assume that you have seen them all. Like Natasha, Yelena was taken, conditioned, and groomed into being an assassin at a very young age, a life she was forced into, and they got their claws in her so early that she really didn't even understand what she was doing. The perfect soldier. Despite really having no choice or control, the things she did in that time have haunted her and will probably continue to haunt her for the rest of her life. Can you imagine? I mean, those were her formative years and she had to kill people. Incredibly devastating, especially that flashback we saw in Thunderbolts where she was forced to kill her best friend. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Thankfully, Dreykov and the others got what they deserved in the end. Just disgusting, vile people to do this to little kids. Despite all of that, Yelena is able to maintain a fun and goofy personality at times, possibly as a way of coping. Her relationship with Natasha is so sweet and genuine, and Yelena makes fun of Natasha's fighting pose, then later accidentally does the pose herself, and being disgusted by it is one of my favorite jokes in the MCU, and one of my favorite moments in an otherwise fine movie. Their witty banter is fantastic, but they also share some very serious moments together and bond over their shared backstory, childhood, and trauma. Despite these two and their parents not being a real blood family, Yelena loves them and treats them as a true family, and understandably gets upset when they say it wasn't real.
It was real to me. You are my mother.
I think Yelena gives Natasha more depth as well, and adds more context to her decision to sacrifice herself in Endgame. At the time, we had no idea that she even had a family outside of the Avengers. Yelena was blipped, so Natasha was willing to do whatever is necessary to bring her back. After watching Black Widow, that scene makes so much sense now. Their connection was so tight, in fact, that Yelena was willing to kill Clint Barton, whom she was told was responsible for Natasha's death. Of course, we the audience know that wasn't true, that Barton was Natasha's best friend, and that he tried to sacrifice himself so that she didn't have to. But think of it from Yelena's perspective. Last she knew, her sister was alive and well. She gets snapped away and snapped back in what seemed like, to her, a few seconds. A very underrated scene, by the way, but she missed out on 5 years and finds out immediately that her sister is dead. What a whiplash that must have been. Can you blame her for going after Barton after all of that? She needed someone to blame. Her emotions and desire for revenge got the best of her. Especially given her upbringing, that is a very natural response. I saw a lot of people criticize the fact that Clint whistling was the thing that got through to Yelena and got her to give up her quest for revenge. We know she is a very emotional person, but wasn't really taught how to properly deal with those emotions. Appealing to these emotions, instead of logic, was a smart move on Barton's part and makes perfect sense given what we know about Yelena. That was a great moment between them, showing how much they both loved and cared about Natasha, and Yelena accepting that it wasn't Barton's fault and forgiving him and absolving herself from that need for revenge. Huge turning point for the character arc that comes full circle in Thunderbolts. Yelena's relationship with her adoptive father, Alexei, is quite interesting as well. It's clearly strained due to lack of communication, and we see that on multiple occasions. But Alexei is a very loving, goofy guy who clearly cares about her. I feel so bad for Yelena because her family has a habit of going long periods of time without reaching out to her. For some reason, both Natasha and Alexei thought on 2 different occasions that Yelena would not want to hear from them, which of course was the opposite of the truth. He may have a hard time showing it at times, but Alexei is a very loving guy who cares deeply about his daughter. It seems, especially after Thunderbolts, that he will not make that mistake again. He was a huge part of her arc, reminding her of the delightful, caring person that she truly is, while also bringing some much-needed levity at all the right moments. Speaking of which, Thunderbolts was the best Yelena has ever been, and Florence's best work as the character yet. This solidified in my mind that she is one of the best written and most interesting characters in the entire MCU to date. They dug deep into her depression and guilt, something the MCU had not really done before. She has lost her sister very recently, and being very young and having essentially no agency, the horrible things she did as an assassin have haunted her. And in this movie, she fully completes her redemption arc. She didn't have a purpose, she had no friends and no family, she was doing cleanup work for Valentina, and she was at a very low place in her life. In Thunderbolts, she finds a new family, she finds a new purpose, and helps others, particularly Bob, along the way. None of this works without the incredible range of Florence Pugh being able to convey the entire spectrum of emotions, from pain to anger to delight to confusion. She has it all, one of the best young actors working today. The reason the movie Thunderbolts is so effective and why the group dynamic works so well is because all of these characters are so broken, regretful, and have similar pasts. Yelena finds a new friend and possibly more in Bob, whom, like her, is also very broken and looking for a purpose. I'm shocked Marvel had the guts to go all out on exploring depression and really confronting it. You can't just push it down, you need to face it and overcome it, and friends can be incredibly helpful in that regard. The villain in this movie is defeated by the power of friendship, which I think is quite beautiful. This ragtag group of misfits band together to overcome the darkness, and Yelena was instrumental in that. She believed in and cared about Bob from the jump, seeing a lot of herself in him. Massive credit to the writers Eric Pearson and Joanna Kahlo, as well as the director Jake Schreier for really going there. Whole new territory for Marvel. On a lighter note, Yelena's budding friendship with Kate Bishop is absolutely delightful. We really only get a few scenes of them together, but their chemistry and dynamic is incredible. Credit to Florence and Haley for that, as well as the writers. The way Yelena is so casual about her quest to kill Barton is hilarious. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna kill him quick, and then we can hang out.
I'm just going to kill Barton, have some appetizers, and then I'll go.
They clearly have very different backgrounds. Kate's was very normal, Yelena's is anything but, and very different philosophies, at least at the time, which is what makes their friendship so fun. I imagine we will see more of them together again in the upcoming Avengers movies. It will be an absolute travesty if we don't. For all the criticisms of the output from Marvel in the last 5 years, many of it legitimate, these two characters are absolutely a highlight. The more we get of them, the better. On top of all of that, Yelena is an absolute badass. She is one of the better fighters in the MCU, at least as far as people without powers go. She will do anything for the people she cares about, and, after Thunderbolts, even people she doesn't know, even when she seems to be outmatched. She went toe-to-toe with and even got the upper hand on Clint Barton, also one of the better non-powered fighters in the MCU. Being trained from a very young age will do that for you. Watching her fight is always a blast. Watching all of these big CGI-filled battles filled with superpowered beings can get really stale and tedious after a while. It's quite refreshing to see some regular people show off their skills and training. Florence Pugh is quite the commitment to the character as well. She actually jumped off the building in the beginning of Thunderbolts. Watch out, Tom Cruise. We may have a new action star. Overall, Yelena is easily one of the better written and acted characters in the entire MCU to date and will only get better as we see more of her. She is a huge bright spot in an era of the MCU that has seen some issues with the character writing and a massive oversaturation of characters. Marvel Studios has historically been great at casting with really only a few exceptions, but Florence Pugh as Yelena is, to me, right up there with Robert Downey Jr. as Tony, Chris Evans as Cap, and Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda as one of the best castings in the franchise. She stole the show in a decent Black Widow movie. She stole the show in 2 episodes of Hawkeye, a show, by the way, that contained the delightful Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop, another highlight of this era of the MCU. She has an incredibly tragic past, was forced to do terrible things, and has never fully recovered. But she is trying. She is doing her best to rectify her sins, helping people like her, such as freeing the other assassins from brainwashing and forming a new family with the Thunderbolts, saving Bob and everyone else in the process. If it weren't for Yelena's compassion, humanity, and ability to understand people, Bob probably would have engulfed the entire planet into the void. She has leadership and problem-solving qualities as shown off in Thunderbolts, and just wants to have a purpose and a sense of belonging, a very human and relatable struggle. She loves her quote-unquote fake family and was offended when both Natasha and Alexei didn't reach out to her for a while. She loved Natasha so much that she was quick to jump at the opportunity to kill the person that she thought was responsible for her death, but also forgave that person once she found out the truth and how much he loved her as well. Yelena is an extremely emotional person, but because of her upbringing, doesn't really know how to confront and deal with those emotions. She's a good person at heart and was forced into a life she didn't choose. But once she was able to finally be free, take control of her life, and become her true self, that good person came out, and she was rewarded for it by being essentially the leader of the new Avengers with the Z. By the way, what's Sam's beef? Why can't they all be Avengers? The more the merrier. I imagine once Doctor Doom comes around, they'll put that petty stuff aside. Point being, Yelena is fulfilling her purpose, becoming the person she always was, and doing some good for the world. All of this while still being extremely likable, quirky, and quotable. This is a character that Florence, as well as all the writers and directors that have worked with her, completely understand and have a passion for, and that is shown up on screen. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Likes are so important. Drop your thoughts about Yelena in a comment below, and let me know if there are any other characters you want to see me analyze. I have a long list, but I'm always open to more suggestions. Check out my Patreon for further benefits. Stay tuned for some more fun content, and I will see you soon.